Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
What you doing?
Trying on glasses with Zenny's 3D virtual try-on.
Wow, that's pretty cool. But those glasses kind of make you look like your Uncle Bob.
Oh, not exactly the look I was going for. Okay, how about these clear glasses? Oh, or these round ones?
Very on trend. I like both on you.
You know, I also like these aviator sunglasses.
Wait, are those the actual prices? I say get all of them.
Seriously, why not, right?
Oh, now I want new glasses.
Zenny.com. Quality prescription glasses starting at $6.95.
Here we go.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
Fantasy Hack. We are back for week 6. Oh, man. Week 5. Wow. That's, I believe, a historic fantasy week. 5 players above 40 points. Is it the first time that has ever happened? I believe so. Yeah. Holy crap! Did you have any of these guys, JR?
No, I had the dubious distinction of in both of my big money leagues going up against Deshaun Watson, and one of the guys also had Aaron Jones. So you can imagine how my money leagues went this week. Bankrupt.
In one of my money leagues, I was going up against Deshaun Watson. I had Nick Chubb, or not Nick Chubb. I have CMC, and by a freaking miracle, I won that matchup by 0.1. He put up 179.2. I put up 179.3. Nick Bosa, thank you. That final fumble that he forced was that 1 point that I needed to give me the victory in that one. And then by the grace of God, my other big money league, I've just I'm running into my opponents performing poorly at the same time I am, and I'm just somehow winning these matchups because I have Saquon in the big money league, and he's hurting. But all in all, I went 3-3 this week. This point in the season, I got a 4-1. Everybody else is 3-2, and then I got a 1-4. And the silver lining in that league is 6 of the 10 teams are all under 500, so I still got a shot in that league. But it's another team where I got Saquon, and also had the dubious distinction of drafting Antonio Brown. So that team's hurting a little bit. How was your week, JR?
Well, I went 6-4, but the big money leagues, which are really what I focus on, I went 0-2. And the commissioner sends out a weekly bulletin for our Las Vegas league, and I was mentioned in there as I have the number 1 point production in the entire league, and I'm 1-4. That's what kind of year it's been for me. The schedule maker has not been kind. For the 5 weeks, I have played the number 1 point producer or the number 2 point producer in the league. I think 3 of the weeks was number 1 and 1 week was number 2. So they, definitely driving me to drink.
Well, and in our league, doesn't get any easier for you. This week, me and you, our beer bet's an easy one this week.
Oh yeah,
the top 2 point. I have the opinion that this is a Super Bowl preview in the league that we're in together. I
was going to say I've been racking up some points in that league. Pretty happy with my lineup in that league.
I believe me and you in that league are the only 2 that have busted 700 points.
Well, should be a good one this week. I'll have to check the bye weeks. But enough about our teams. Let's give our listeners some information. You want to go recap last week?
Oh yeah, the historic week. You should have known it was going to be that kind of week with the Thursday night game. With the Seahawks beating out the Rams by a point. Greg the Leg not being Greg the Leg so much at the end.
Yeah. Greg laid an egg.
Yeah. But Russell Wilson, he's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. I believe he's the number 2 player in fantasy altogether.
Todd Gurley, it looked like finally getting some good production for him.
It's 2 weeks in a row. You can dare to say Gurley is back.
Yep, and Malcolm Brown's pretty much a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically now one guy that kind of caught my eye, and it might be a sleeper at tight end is Higbee in the Rams. He played 56% of the snaps.
I had him earlier in the year, but it seems like Gerald Everett is, at least with when we get to the waivers, he seems to be the guy that's on the rise.
Yeah, and again, this is the problem you get with like Chiefs receivers and Rams receivers. You never know. Any given week, it could be any of those guys. So
yeah, because Robert Woods, man, I mean,
oh man,
I own him on a team or two maybe, and it's tough because he's really only had one really fantasy worthy game.
As soon as you give up on him, you know it's going to be that big week.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Cooks Brandon Cooks has had more fantasy relevant games so far, but he's just. It does seem to stand out in that offense, is at least catching the ball as Cooper Kupp. He seems to be the winner.
So for the Seahawks, Chris Carson had a good game, and a lot of people were thinking Rashad Penny is one Chris Carson fumble away from getting the starting job. So keep an eye on that, but Carson was a solid play this week. Tyler Lockett had a good game. Will Dissly, pretty productive. I think that's about it.
If you picked up Will Dissly early, the investment's been paying off so far on that guy.
DK Metcalf got in the end zone, but again, he's one of those, every 3 weeks, have a good week. You can't really rely on him every week, but
he's touchdown dependent.
And I played him last week and benched him this week, and of course, he scores the week I bench him. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Patriots and the Redskins. Boy, what a dumpster fire those Washington Redskins are.
Oh.
So, no Redskins. Just don't even think about it. I know you like McLaurin, is it?
McLaurin.
But, man, I just really don't want any Redskins on my team. The Patriots, on the other hand, the game actually started out fairly interesting, but ended up predictably tilted towards the Patriots with an easy 33-7 win. But the Redskins actually had the lead in this game at one point.
Yeah.
Not for long, but we'll see what happens now with a new coach. I don't think much is going to change in Washington. So I don't think we should even waste any more breath in Washington. But let's see. Sony Michel took a season-high 49% of snaps. And ran 20 routes.
Welcome to the season.
Edelman had a good game.
Yeah.
James White contributed.
If you ask me, though, it seems like the consistent fantasy performers to own on this defense are Tom Brady and the defense.
Yeah. Oh, that defense, yeah.
Like everyone else is like, Edelman's all right. So, like I said, Sony Michel, like the last couple of weeks, he's finally showed up. James White and Rex Burkhead seem to kind of trade off with who's going to.
Yeah. I picked up Burkhead as just like the last guy on my bench, and he didn't even play.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have him in my lineup, but don't expect much from him. That's again, you got those Patriots running backs. Is just Michelle is probably the only guy worth even.
Mm-hmm.
James
White if you're in PPR,
but you never know. Rex Burkhead could get 30 points this week, the way that offense is. So let's move on to the Jags and the Panthers. Good game there. Panthers prevailed 34-27.
Oh, CMC.
CMC he's just
giving
money
me
in the bank.
48 points. He is the best player in fantasy football right now.
Sure is. And man, what a surprise that the Kyle Allen has been a pleasant surprise. Subbing for the injured Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam again. He was on social media last week with his red wine and his cigar, saying, "I'm going to take my time." And the way they're playing, he can take his time.
I don't think he's been missed very much.
No, McCaffrey's got to be loving it too, because it's just. Is he still in his rookie contract?
I think so, but I don't think so for long. I think he's going to get paid.
Yeah, he's just padding his stats, going, "Oh, negotiation time is coming."
Yep. DJ Moore had a nice game with 8 targets, 91 yards.
Another DJ
Chris
Chark.
Samuel. Oh, yeah. DJ Chark. Jack, that's your guy. He is thriving. Jack mentioned him like 3 podcasts ago as a waiver wire pickup, and those of you that picked him up, he just continues to generate points.
He is a guy I picked up in week 2 in a few leagues, and man, he is now, I believe this week is now this is the week where all the experts are telling you he's a locked-in wide receiver 1.
And let's not forget the Leonard Fournette, who seems to have righted the ship this season.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Jacksonville, especially you believe in the Minshew magic. After week 5, I am like he's doing it consistently.
Hey, you know what? He sure is fun to watch either way.
You know, the Jags are 2-3 at this. I was expecting them to be 0-5 at this point, so they won 2 more games and they've been in most of these games. Hasn't really been a blowout.
And Minshew is fun to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the New York Football Giants, who are now decimated down to a skeleton crew. Vikings 28, Giants 10 this week. Kirk Cousins actually had a decent game for once, but who doesn't against that Giants defense?
It is going to be bad on Thursday when they play the Pats. I mean,
my Vegas league where I lost to the guy that had like 170 points to my like 113. Wayne Gallman started and got 1 point before going out for the whole game with a concussion early in the game. So there was I think actually he got a 0. I don't even think he got a 1 point for me. So that was a bust. So I don't even know who's there to run the ball until Saquon gets back. So and regardless of who it is, don't pick him up. Let's see.
I'd like to point out that this show was not high on Wayne Gallman. When Saquon got injured, neither of us were like, hey, run out. We were like, if you need him. But
I did need him. He did have 1 good week for me, and then...
Yeah, but we weren't like, oh, he's going to be the man, go out, grab this guy. We were not like a lot of other fantasy shows that were like, oh, go out, grab... No! I've been a Gallman owner before. I knew how... Yes, and here we are. Sorry, continue.
So for the Vikings, again, we had a decent game from Cousins. We had Stephon Diggs. It continues to be, I don't know, just de-emphasized. Adam Thielen, which at the beginning of the year, everybody said Thielen was not going to have a good year, and he's way outperforming Diggs. So that's the guy who went up there.
Mm-hmm. I think Diggs is going to end up in a Lions uniform. At least that's what I'm hoping.
I think he's going to be somewhere else soon because it seems like that's not a good situation there for either side. So, but hey, on the Giants side, you got Golden Tate coming in. That's about all they have left with Sterling Shepard hurt. And Evan Ingram is hurt and might not play this week.
No Sterling Shepard, no Saquon, no Wayne Gallman, possibly no Evan Ingram. Caller 10, you could start this week on the Giants. Call New York Sports Talk. Let them know you're interested.
Who do the Giants play this week?
The Patriots on Thursday.
Oh, geez. I was going to say pick up that defense, but there's no leagues that don't have the New England Patriots. So, but that's fine. I have the Patriots in a few leagues, so I'm licking my chops for that.
Tom Brady's going to put up 75 fantasy points this week.
And in the battle of unbeatens, the Arizona Cardinals squeaked out a 26-23 victory over the hapless Bungles. So Kyler Murray, okay performance, nothing great. David Johnson
was possibly hurt.
Christian Kirk is hurt, so that was tough.
Hey, Bengals, keep your chin up. You look the best.
I guess those are probably the only names worth mentioning. And then your favorite running back, Joe Mixon, continues to underwhelm.
As long as he's breaking 10, that's all we really need him to do.
And, of course, we've well-chronicled Andy Dalton. Showed so much promise after week 1, and he's back to the old Andy Dalton.
Like I said, the Bengals can take heart in the fact that you look the best of the winless teams.
Well, can't wait till we go into next week's games because it's the toilet bowl between the Dolphins and the Redskins. Somebody's got to win it.
Oh, gross. Oh, man. It's going to be the worst game in the world.
Judges across America are using that as a sentencing tool. You will be forced to watch this. So, moving on to a really good game and an upset, and one that benefited your Detroit Lions. The Raiders topped the Bears 24-21. Oh, so that was a nice surprise.
Chucky with a 3-2 record. Look at that.
I was very happy. My Penn State boy, Allen Robinson, 2 touchdowns in the game, so he had a nice game. Who else produced in that game? Was it Montgomery actually had a decent performance, I believe?
Finally, decent-ish. Josh Jacobs had a huge game.
Yeah, and did I see something where Jacobs might be hurt this week? Thought I read something. I have to look that one up. Maybe if Jack's lurking in the background, he can look into that. Jack, you can check on the status of Josh Jacobs. I thought I saw where he was questionable for this week. And I also saw...
He does not have a game this week. It's his bye week.
Oh, no. Never there? Well, that's why. I knew I was setting the lineup and saw an O by him. Him and Waller have a bye, so okay, never mind. That's why we have Jack back there to back us up. So, let's see. Any other comments on that game? Really?
The Bears need Trubisky.
Yeah, man, it's kind of sad watching them. I mean, they still got a couple touchdowns to Robinson, but
that team needs an offense. The team needs an offense.
Chase Daniel is a career backup for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably do worse, but you could probably do a lot better too. So those Buccaneers gave a valiant effort, but came up short against the Saints. 31-24 Saints victory. Now, Ronald Jones was supposed to take the starting job, but him and Peyton Barber split the carries equally.
That's why I hate that backfield. Because as soon as it seems there's a leader, because initially Peyton Barber seemed like he was going to be the guy coming out of that backfield. As soon as and now it's Ronald Jones, and then now it seems like Ronald Jones is going to be the guy, and now they're splitting the carries. Like, I hate the Buccaneers backfield. Like, I just say stay away from them because you're just going to get a big old pile of average from both of those guys.
I picked up Jones in one league because I was that desperate, and if you have Jones or Barber, you're probably desperate. But that's a roll of the dice every week, and probably no 100-yard performance from any of them. And the disappointment continues for O.J. Howard, although I'm reading that he actually was used as a pass blocker only 3 times and actually ran a bunch of routes, 26 routes. I did watch on the red zone. I saw a long pass to him where he was open, and he just didn't connect with Jameis Winston. So, but at least they're trying. So if you got O.J. Howard, you've got to be just beside yourself disappointed. He was one of the top, that second tier of tight ends. He was right at the top of that list after the big 3, and he has been a colossal bust so far. But, hey, they're at least trying to get the ball. Mike Evans, I don't think he did very good this week after a big week, but Chris Godwin continues to perform and exceeded Evans in targets.
You mean fantasy football's #1 receiver, Chris Godwin?
Yeah, that one.
Again, I'll say it. A guy you and I both talked massive amounts of shit about during the draft, and thank God we have him on. We both have him on a couple teams.
Fortunately, he's a Penn Stater, so I always have a little special affinity for those guys, and yeah, I have him in a couple leagues, and
but we both viewed him as a #2. We're like, why is the #2 being drafted so high?
Everybody thought he was overhyped. There was a lot of hype to him on all the shows and all the websites, and with the cheat sheets going into the year. But yeah, what a great surprise! He is definitely living up to that hype.
Yeah, no, this was one of those another historical game here. Michael Thomas.
Yeah. And just a week ago, I lost one game because Godwin wasn't in my lineup. I had taken him out thinking he was hurt, and he scored 30 points. And then I lost another game because Michael Thomas didn't do anything, and all I needed was a few points from him. This week, he lit it up, though. And you know what? Teddy Bridgewater really made some strides in this game.
This seemed to be a stat correction week. This seemed to be where everything evened out for all the people that were supposed to be at a certain place at this stage in the game it seemed to be where all the stats leveled out this week. You know, your overcorrections occurred.
Yep. That 1 week where just everybody was quiet and everything kind of came back to normal this week.
All of a sudden, Michael Thomas is a top 5 receiver again. Like after 1 week, he was out of the top 10 last week. I think he's number 2 after this week.
Well, moving on to the Eagles and the Jets. That Eagles defense had 10 sacks and 2 defensive touchdowns. So if you had them, you probably won.
And 35 fantasy points.
And I actually did pick them up in one league and reap the benefits. Now, the party may be over because Sam Darnold is going to be back this week, but against the Cowboys. So probably cheering for Darnold. Le'Veon Bell continues to struggle. You know, it's not his fault. He's got nothing around him. You know, no quarterback. I'm hoping when Darnold comes back, you'll see a boost to that offense. Guys like Jamison Crowder and what's the other guy? Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, sure.
And also they got Demaryius Thomas there. Mm-hmm. So those guys have been like non-factors, and a lot of owners have dropped those guys. So there might be an opportunity. And then another Jet to keep your eye on is Chris Herndon, tight end. He's coming back from suspension, and he'll be in the lineup. So it looks like the Jets are getting some players back, and I think with Darnold at the helm, if he stay healthy, they should actually improve greatly. Mm-hmm. Now the Eagles, I think the Eagles are finally realizing what all Eagles fans have seen, is that Jordan Howard has been outplaying Miles Sanders. Love Sanders, my Penn State boy, but he's a rookie, and it shows. Howard has been very, very productive, and he carried the ball more than Sanders. And I think Sanders has shown great promise in the passing game. They've been using him with the as a receiver like they did with Corey Clement the last few years. So good to see that. Zach Ertz had an okay game, but he caught a touchdown, but he's still not the Zach Ertz of last year. So what a big drop-off that's been. A big
Zach Ertz enough.
Yeah.
But I do want to officially trot out my oops for Jordan Howard. I dropped him in a league, and I'm regretting it now. It was a couple weeks ago. I'd had enough of him not doing anything and watching Miles Sanders get the ball more than he did, and oops.
As an Eagles fan, I might be a little biased, but you have to admit it's almost, you never know which guy is going to produce, and there's enough running back by committee that it devalues both of them. But it does certainly seem that Howard's getting most of the touchdowns and the goal line carries. So how about the Ravens and the Steelers? Lamar Jackson, he's come back down to earth after that big start. Let me down in a couple leagues this week, but Mark Ingram, on the other hand, has been a real productive find. So,
yeah, Baltimore's happy because let's be honest, since Ray Rice disappeared, that backfield's been a struggle in Baltimore, and it seems like they finally got it fixed with Mark Ingram.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson, but 3 picks this week.
Well, he's playing not the Cardinals. He's playing not the Redskins.
That Cowboys disease. When you play good teams, it's a lot harder.
Yeah. He still looks better. I mean, the Ravens are still, they're 3-2. They're a lot better position than they were last year at this time.
So they got the W. When your starting quarterback throws 3 picks and you get the W, that's saying something. So, maybe they're just leaning on Ingram, and maybe that's one of the reasons that they're not passing as much, and those 3 picks, those negative points in a lot of leagues. And then we had James Conner, did pretty good. He produced this week, and in handcuff news, Jalen Samuels is hurt and now out for at least the next 4 weeks, I believe.
And Mason Rudolph's in the concussion protocol. Like, there's another team, caller 10. You get to start this week for the Steelers.
Yeah, man, it's ugly. The deer in the headlight quarterbacks it's the year of the deer in the headlight quarterback. Mm-hmm. But at least in New York, the Falk, it looks like, has seen his last start with Darnold coming back and Gosh, I don't even know who's playing for the Steelers. Who's the next man up there? Maybe Jack can research that for us.
I'm on it. I got, let me see here. Benny Snell. Fourth round running back Benny Snell will move up to the depth chart, number 2, behind James Conner. Sluggish rookie, doesn't offer nearly the same type of value both on the ground and in the passing game that Samuel's unique skill set does.
How about quarterback Steelers? With
Mason Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph got hurt.
He's in the NFL. He's in the league's protocol right now.
So who's behind him? Who's the next man up?
Mike Tomlin.
UDF undrafted free agent Devlin Hodges will start. So good luck with that.
Might be a good week to bench Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah. Or any Steeler.
Yeah, that's a tough break, man.
But Connor will probably get the ball a lot. Here, take this, run.
Yeah, and Vance McDonald will probably be a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
So, word to the wise. Be very selective if you decide to play any Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Sporgy.
ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
We had a wild shootout with the Texans and the Falcons, 53-32 Texans.
Will Fuller.
This is the game that just ruined my entire weekend. Deshaun Watson, 49 points in both of my leagues. Pretty much eliminated me single-handedly from winning both of my money leagues. So I hate you, Deshaun.
If you had a team where you started Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller, they put up 100 points on their own. You won, is what we're saying. You won your matchup.
Deshaun Watson and Aaron Jones, like I went up against.
Ooh.
But I'll quit whining. And man, what's going on with the Falcons? Man, what are they, 1-4?
Their defense is horrible. I think that's half the problem.
Calvin Ridley had a touchdown this week.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan busted 30.
That is 300 yards.
Yeah, Matt Ryan had himself a fantasy week. But Julio only like 7-ish points. Austin, but let's be honest. Do you think at week 6 we'd be talking about the number 1 tight end in fantasy is Austin Hooper? I didn't, but he is.
Oh, as well.
Yeah, I don't. Atlanta, like you. If I'm a football fan down there, what's going on? I mean, yeah, you're getting like there's Falcons worth owning for fantasy purposes. Didn't Devonte Freeman have a decent game? finally? Or did he?
Yeah, the offense produced, but when you give up 53 points, it's hard to win.
Yeah, definitely not.
They scored 34 points.
Yeah,
or is it 32?
Yeah, the offense scored 32 points and they lost. So it's definitely on the defensive side of the ball.
They lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, then we had a snooze fest between the Bills and the Titans. Bills prevailed 14-7. The ageless Frank Gore played, but I don't think he had a big game. I don't think anybody had a big game in this.
Defense, just getting it done, though, huh?
Yeah.
Seems to be the way they're winning football games in Buffalo this year, is on the other side of the ball.
Derrick Henry?
I guess I'm ready to admit he's a thing. His performance has been consistent.
Let's see.
I can't deny him anymore.
Devin Singletary's still on the shelf, I believe.
I got him stashed in a couple leagues.
I think he's ready to come back soon, though.
Good.
But, hey, Gore got 100 yards a week ago, so somebody's got to run the rock there. I think when Singletary comes back, he might be at least a plug and play.
Gore's arthritis is going to kick in soon, so yeah, they're going to need to give someone the football.
Okay, and then we go to the Broncos and the Chargers. Just when you thought the Chargers were making a run back down to earth, they give the Broncos their first victory of the season on the road in L.A.
And this is with Melvin Gordon.
With Melvin Gordon, who didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
A little rusty. And just when you thought Royce Freeman was taking over from Philip Lindsay, Lindsay scored, 30 points, I think. He had a huge day with a couple touchdowns.
And I thought Emmanuel Sanders is supposed to be the receiver out there, but at the last couple of weeks, it's Cortland Sutton's world, and Emmanuel's playing in it.
I agree. So good week for the Broncos, and some surprises there with Lindsay kind of reestablishing himself as the back to own there.
There's a rumor Emmanuel's going to the Niners. That's been the hot talk out there.
Interesting. Trade deadline in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler still produced. Melvin Gordon did not. I still think, especially in PPR, Eckler is going to be a strong play.
He's a pass
certainly
catcher.
At least RB3. And Gordon, you have to think that the old Gordon will be back. It's just a matter of time. It might be another week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Keenan Allen exploded a couple weeks ago, was pretty much invisible this week. Big disappointment there. I think Mike Williams is back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
He played.
But Denver's a defensive-minded team. You can't go deep on Denver no matter how shitty their offense is. You can't go deep on Denver, generally.
But the Denver Broncos ran the ball down the Chargers' throats. That's why they won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then my favorite game to talk about, the Packers and the Cowboys.
That's my favorite.
It was all delightful, and it was 31-3, and the Cowboys made a valiant comeback, but I think wasn't it a late pick by Dak down in the red zone doomed any chance of that comeback coming to fruition.
I love this game. Amari Cooper's
the Packers continue to own the Cowboys.
Amari Cooper's performance kept me in a matchup that I thought I was done in. I love this game.
Yeah, I don't have Amari Cooper on any leagues, but he has been producing this year. Jimmy Graham, I gave up on him and cut him, and now he's had a couple of okay games. I'm still not a big.
Don't fall for it.
He's not going to be in every week. He's a good red zone target, touchdown dependent. He's never going to get 100 yards again like the old days.
Don't fall for it, everybody. Yeah, it ain't 2009, and I know that. I say that ain't Drew Brees throwing to him, but that also ain't. That is not 2009 Aaron Rodgers throwing to him either. Don't fall for the Jimmy Graham mirage, people.
So as happy as I was to see the Cowboys go down and drop into a first place tie with my Eagles, every one of those Aaron Jones touchdowns was like a dagger in my spine.
Four of them.
4. Yep, not 1, not 2, but not 3, but 4. Yeah, couldn't get anybody else in the end zone.
I was going to win that matchup. I had Aaron
only when
Jones.
He plays me. Now he's not playing me for, and he will be back to his normal self.
There were 2 players left to play for my opponent, Aaron Jones and LaShawn McCoy. I figured, it's in the bag. And then after Aaron Jones, I'm like, yeah, it's in the bag for him because I'm not going to win.
And then Shady didn't do it for her.
Yeah, and then the Sunday night game, the one game I went to sleep for, because speaking of in the bag, I was like, yeah, the Chiefs are going to beat the crap out of the Colts. I'm going to sleep. No, that did not happen. Mahomes, again, proven still, if his floor is 18.5 points, you're going to be all right if you own him.
Yeah, the scary thing about Mahomes is he was a little banged up at the end of that game. Mm-hmm. See if that lingers or if he comes back quickly. And, the Packers, very good win without Devonte Adams in the lineup, and they still toyed with the Cowboys. So, on the Cowboys side of the ball, we talked about Amari Cooper had a big long touchdown. Didn't he have like 200 yards or something?
225, 1 touchdown, 11 receptions.
Michael Gallup's back. And Zeke Elliott got his 100 yards, and I think he got a score. So, not a bad week for the studs on the Cowboys. And then we go to that Sunday night Colts-Chiefs game. First game in 25 games in a row, the Chiefs had scored at least 25 points, held to only 13 in this game. That Colts defense was relentless, just attacking the quarterback.
Looks like.
So I don't know. That Chiefs offensive line just could not handle that Colts rush. So Marlon Mack, okay day. Jacoby Brissett, solid day.
Yeah. Mahomes making a star out of somebody named Byron Pringle, at least.
Yeah, and I had Damian Robinson in the lineup, and what do? You got all those Chiefs, and you never know which. DeMarcus Robinson.
Hey, Sammy.
I started him, and he got nothing for me.
Yeah,
and
thanks for the goose egg, Sammy.
Pringle.
From Sammy
Even
Watkins.
Cole Hard performed Robinson. So whatever one I put in, it's not the one. So it's Russian roulette with those guys, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, own Mahomes and Kelsey. Pretty much is all you need to own on the Chiefs. Everyone else is a dart throw until Cheetah comes back.
And then the Monday night debacle for the Cleveland Browns, failure to appear against the San Francisco 49ers, or 5-0 49ers that looked like world beaters last night. Matt Breida, what did he have, like an 82-yard touchdown run?
Matt Breida, 114 yards, 1 TD, 11 carries.
Yeah, and that one...
28 fantasy points for me in our league, man. Is beautiful.
Yep. I didn't see the game. I was at an event last night. How did Nick Chubb do?
Average. Like, he did definitely the game he had last week. He did not have that game this week.
All right, Jack, can you tell us what Nick Chubb did this week?
87 rushing yards, 12 receiving yards.
Not terrible, but not a Nick Chubb performance you're really looking for. How about George Kittle? What did he have, Jack?
George Kittle, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 50. Oh, no, never mind. That was the wrong game. 18 rushing yards, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 70 receiving yards, and a touchdown.
Okay, that's a solid day for a tight end. I'll take that all day.
And all that. The 49ers defense, they're on your waiver wire. Grab them.
Oh, yeah.
They gave me 19 points when I needed it. Oh, Nick Bosa. If I ever find you, I'm buying you a beer because you got me a win.
This is one of those teams that every year there's a team or two that surprise you that you weren't expecting to be, elite or good again. And so far, so good at 5-0. We'll see. He certainly looked the part last night. Even though I was at the event, I could see the screen. I was checking in on it, and I saw. What happened to Baker Mayfield? Can you pull up his stats, Jack? Baker Mayfield, man, 3 points last night. Was he horrible?
What
happened?
Saying if you have them, you can drop them. People, I already have.
Yeah, wasn't he like the third highest rated quarterback?
He had 100 yards with 2 picks, 4 sacks, 2 fumbles, and a fumble lost.
Oh my gosh, putrid.
Only 8 completions.
Oh, and I'm sure Odell Beckham's really happy with his 2 catches, was it? How about Odell? What did he do last night? I know he had a fumble.
Not well.
I think he had 20-some yards and a fumble, which means he got 0 fantasy points because he got docked 2 points.
Yeah, like 4 fantasy points.
20 passing yards, 2 rushing attempts, 15 rushing yards, 6 targets, 2 receptions, 27 receiving yards, -6 return yards, a fumble lost.
I think we can be looking for some petulance this week in Cleveland. I'm sure Mr. Beckham is not happy with his role and the lack of production, and probably with Mr. Mayfield. So I agree with you, Chris. If you got Baker Mayfield, it's probably time to cut the line.
He's my number one pick. Leaving me now, my number one guy in that league is Jameis Winston. Good God. Sweet Jesus. I hope this works out. And I hope my waiver claim for Gardner Minshew goes through.
Do we see
Go ahead.
a possible coaching change in Cleveland this early?
I don't know about that. I think,
they're not over. This isn't a...
They've been there in the past, though. But, man, expectations were so high there, and it's just not happening. Something's got to change, because last night wasn't pretty.
Yeah, and my one thing that I'm going to just bring up, and I'm sure I'm not the only person... Who is San Francisco beaten? Has it been all trash?
Jack, can you look up the Niners schedule? Let's see what they got coming up. Now, they got the Rams in Seattle in their division, so they're gonna be tested.
They played in Tampa week 1, in Cincinnati week 2. They played Pittsburgh at home in week 3. Then they had their bye week last week, and then they beat Cleveland, obviously.
See.
Who's coming up the next 5 weeks?
They're playing. They have to go to LA to play the Rams. Then they have to go to Washington to play the Skins. Then they got the Panthers at home, and then they have to go to Arizona and play.
Well, that's probably 2-2 there.
They have a relatively easy schedule, quite honest. The only team that scared me was the Rams.
Well, I know they have 2 Seahawks games left on the schedule.
Well, from week 12 on, it's going to get pretty hard. They have to play Green Bay. Then they have to go to Baltimore. They have to go to New Orleans, then they have to play Atlanta at home, and then they have to play the Rams again, and then they have to go on the last game of the regular season. They have to go to Seattle and play the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, it sounds like the last
there
month.
We go.
The last month of the season is going to be where they're
That's going to be a tough stretch.
Sure is. All right, well, Jack, it's time for your segment. We used to call it the trios. Right. I don't know if we're doing 3 players or so. You take it away.
All right, so last week, my players from last week didn't do that good. Deontay Johnson, 5 of 8 for 27 yards. However, he did lead wideouts and targets, but, I mean, obviously Rudolph went down and Hodges came in. I mean, Hodges racked up 80 yards of total offense while he was in. Almost led him to that comeback victory. He did take it to overtime, but next week they have to go to L.A. and play. Do we even call it an away game anymore in that soccer stadium? I don't know. Let us Steeler fans, I'm sure, living in LA. Then Ronald Jones, 9 rushes, 35 yards, 2 receptions for 21 yards. Just again, competition with Peyton Barber is the whole thing. They have to play Carolina at home. Their next.
Ouch.
So then A.J. Brown, 2 receptions, 27 yards. Now he got red zone targets, and he did have a touchdown called back, but still a very disappointing day. Then they have to go to Denver to play the Broncos next week. So I will kick it off with our new guys of the week, starting off with Chase Edmonds, the running back for the Arizona Cardinals. He had 68 rushing yards and a touchdown and 3 receptions for 18 yards against Cincinnati. That's 86 total yards. And they have to play Atlanta next week. And he's only owned in 4% of leagues via Yahoo Fantasy Football. So
there's my Wayne Gallman replacement.
And with David Johnson allegedly going to be out, this is definitely a guy you want to look at.
Yep. And then we'll go to Gerald Everett. You guys talked a bit about him. 7 of 11, 136 yards. That's a career best for him. And that was in Seattle against that tough defense and the tough place to play. So pretty impressive. And over his last 2 games, 12 catches, 180 yards, and a touchdown. So, I mean, he's had not just this week was good. He had a good week last week too. So, and then they have to play San Francisco next, though. So, and he is owned 12% via Yahoo Fantasy Football.
He's your Jimmy Graham replacement.
Yep. So Byron Pringle, you guys also talked about him. 6 of 9, 103 yards and a touchdown against the Colts. They will play Houston next. He's owned in 1% of the league, but I think the key here is he's Sammy Watkins' replacement. And depending on what Watkins, how his status is, the playing time will reduce, and obviously Tyreek Hill is actually expected to play this week. So
Sammy Watkins is injured. What? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke with myself.
He's always hurt.
Yes. That's why when the run started on him in week 1, I was like, no, people, no. As somebody who's owned him several times, do not fall for it. And he's just been, he's been underwhelming, and now he's hurt. He's just, he has followed his game script, so to speak, to a T.
And as long as we're going to talk about that, keep an eye on the health of Mr. Mahomes too, because he took a beating and his ankle got rolled on. I know he toughed it out, but you know how injuries can be. Once you get that thing stiffens up and swells up, See that commercial with him in the ice bath? I'll bet you that's where he is right now.
Well, in his post-game interview, he said he just re-aggravated it a little bit there in the first half and then got stepped on in the second half.
Well,
but he didn't look like himself, but he did still have 321 yards. So
that's what you get with Mahomes. Even a half of Mahomes is better than a whole Baker Mayfield.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Well, thank you for those tips. I might use a couple of those too. Fill some holes. So let's go to any more waiver pickups you want to talk about, Chris?
Let's see. As far as waiver claims I have in this week, I can tell you Mohamed Sanu was a common name being picked up this week. He's still out there. He's still available. Devin Singletary's getting ready to come back. I've seen him out there in a lot of leagues. If he's out there, nab him, because that's essentially an RB1 getting ready to come back. We talked about Gerald Everett. If you see Tevin Coleman out there, let's see, Chris Thompson. It's owning a Redskin, but he's a pass catcher.
I got one to throw out for you, and he might not be available in too many leagues, but I know more than one league that I'm in where Kirk Cousins was kicked to the curb. Something to think about. If he's open on the wire, you could do worse. Replace your Baker Mayfield cut.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Gardner Minshew, he's out there. I'm a believer in the Minshew magic at this point, at least if you need a starting quarterback. I mean, he is not Blake Bortles, and that is a good thing. But yeah, it's another really thin week on the waiver wire.
And if you're really a glutton for punishment and self-inflicted pain, John Hillman is the Giants running back that's going to play if Barkley doesn't play, because we know Gallman is out. But, man, you're really, really scraping the bottom of the barrel if you go there.
If I had to give you the sexy names on the waiver wire this week, they'd be Mohamed Sanu and Gerald Everett.
Pretty sure we already mentioned Chris Herndon coming back from his suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Showed a lot of promise last year, and now with Darnold back, I think and this is another painful one. But, hey, streaming defenses, maybe the Redskins defense playing Miami. I would venture to say there'd be more defensive touchdowns in that game than offensive. But I can tell you I won't be watching it.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you're desperate for a defense, a 1 week pickup at least, everybody's on to whoever's playing the Dolphins. So this week it could be the Redskins, or if you're as down on the Redskins as some are, you could pick up the Dolphins defense. But I hope nobody's in the position to have to make that choice.
Yeah, I do want to just qualify. Chris Thompson is like I got a few teams where I got Saquon right, and I'm just hurting at running back. That's where I got the waiver claim in for him. You are in a case of emergency. And I got my other running backs are on a bye. That's what I'm saying. It is a rough week. I need a running back. Something's got to give. Any Redskin. I mean, I have Terry McLaurin, but he sits on the bench. And until Washington figures out what's going on. Yeah, at this point, Redskins or Dolphins shouldn't even be rostered.
Agreed. All right.
Sporgy.
ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the divisional round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the divisional round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the divisional round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
I get the time to preview next week. Week 6 already. That's essentially, we're almost halfway done with the fantasy season here, kids. I feel like we just started.
Week 6, and I'm staring 1-4 in a couple of my bigger leagues. Mm-hmm. Even though I lead the league in points, I'm 1-4 in my Vegas league. It's driving me crazy. Every week I play a buzzsaw.
Hey, maybe you're about to go on an unprecedented run and finish 9-4.
Oh gosh, I hope so. There's still time. But
all right, Thursday night, we talked about this. The Giants at New England. Ooh.
Oh. You know what? I made the mistake of taking Brady out, thinking he'd only play a half against the Skins, and that cost me some points. Wouldn't have affected the outcome, but I benched him for Lamar Jackson, which turned out to be stupid. So I'm not going to make that mistake this week. Brady's back in. I think that's going to be a laugher, especially with all the injuries the Giants have. And if you have that New England defense, man, that's going to be a fun one to watch for you.
Yeah, just make it 6-0, right?
Start your Patriots with confidence, bench your Giants with confidence. Pretty much all we need to say about that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. I mean, yikes. Yeah. Going to Sunday. Ooh, we get some morning football. For you, you get some real early morning football out there in the Pacific time zone. You get some 6 a.m. football. I'm getting some 9. I'm getting a game like I'm in the Pacific time zone. 9:30 Eastern time, a London game. Carolina at Tampa Bay. This game might not be the pile of suck I thought it was going to be.
No, which Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to show up? That juggernaut that played well in against the Rams in Los Angeles, or the Jameis Winston we saw a few weeks before that? Carolina defense playing strong, but you know what? The Rams defense was pretty solid, and they succeeded. So I think the Buccaneers are turning the corner on offense. I'm not so sold on their defense. I don't think they'll be able to contain CMC. But like you said, it could be a great game. Jolly old England.
I get to get my CMC points early. And then the 1 o'clock slate, I believe this is this week there's 4 teams on a bye. They're not doing the equal. Years past, they used to do equal amount of teams on a bye every week, and now it's like 2 1 week, 4 1 week, 6 another. I think this year there's as much as 8 teams on a bye at one time. I think. I'm not sure. That's a lot. It's a quarter of the league. But going into the 1 o'clock slate, real quick, Buffalo, Chicago, Indy, Oakland on bye this week. Seattle at Cleveland.
You know, it's one of those things where you just saw Cleveland they're either going to just completely self-destruct or they're going to be really pissed off and give the Seahawks a game. I just have a really hard time thinking it's going to be anything but a Seahawks win there.
Only Brown worth owning right now, fantasy-wise, seems to be Nick Chubb.
If they can establish the run against the Seahawks, they'll have a chance at home. But
I expect Wilson to have himself a day against that Cleveland secondary.
Yeah.
Seattle's defense is going to eat that Cleveland O-line for lunch. So,
well, if 49ers ran all over them, I think Chris Carson could have a day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little Rashad Penny sprinkled in, but Carson's the guy you want in this one.
Yeah.
And then you got, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf to a lesser extent. So, Browns, I don't know. Gosh, just when you think those Cleveland Browns might be formidable, they got all this talent, and it's just not coming together.
Yeah.
So how about the Saints and the Jaguars? That could be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah, the two backups going at it. The two guys who were sitting on the bench week 1 playing each other in this one.
Teddy Bridgewater really has impressed me the way, he played a great game last week. But, Minshew magic at home. The line is Jacksonville -1.5, so this might be closer than you think.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, no-brainer. Leonard Fournette, no-brainer. DJ Chark, don't overlook him. And Michael Thomas, no-brainer.
Might be a good day for Chark and Minshew simply because if they're playing from behind, what happens when you play from behind? The ball gets aired out.
Yep. Good for the stat line.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals and the Ravens.
Oof.
In Baltimore, those 0-5 Bengals, I think, are going 0-6 there.
These future 0-6 Bengals. Because Baltimore at home.
Maybe this is just what Lamar Jackson need to get back on track. The Bungles coming into M&T Bank.
You roll over a division opponent at home.
And I gotta really love Mark Ingram this week.
Yeah, and
I think for Ingram, look for Lamar Jackson maybe to run a little bit more.
Only Bengal worth owning is Mixon. Everyone else, good luck. Yeah, and he's holding on by a thread, quite honestly, on my fantasy teams.
Well, let's go to another good one, assuming Mahomes is healthy. Texans at Arrowhead to play the Chiefs.
Oh, this has got shootout potential written all over it.
Yeah, we might see 100 points.
Yeah.
The over and under in Vegas is 55.
Is Cheetah coming back for this one?
I believe so.
Oh,
I think
Mahomes
Jack
and
said he was expected to play.
Versus Deshaun and D-Hop. Oh, man.
So it's going to be a track meet. This is going to be like Texas Tech and Oklahoma, in college,
It's going to be like a college game.
It's going to be back and forth and back and forth. Assuming Mahomes is healthy, I like the Chiefs. They're a really tough team at home in Arrowhead, but we'll see what happens. They only scored 13 points last week. I have to think that they're going to triple that this week. I think it's going to be. If you have these defenses, I'd be afraid to start either of them.
Is it irresponsible to tell people if Carlos Hyde is available, maybe think about picking him up? If you're desperate for a running back.
I think he could do worse. I'd rather have him than Chris Thompson.
See, it's Carlos Hyde. That's what I just keep coming back to.
Yeah. Well, hey, who are you going to start as your Chiefs running back? Shaden McCoy was practically a non-factor last week. Damian Williams was back. He was a little bit more active. They got that Darrell Williams, the other Darrell. They just got.
For what Shady did for me, with where I started him, he might as well not have started at all. Thanks for nothing.
And I have Damian Williams, and I don't know what to do with him. I'm afraid to start him. There's too many. They're all over the place, man. There's just not, no bell cow. It's frustrating. Then we have the Redskins and the Dolphins. I don't even think we need to talk about that, do we? You shouldn't start anybody in this game. You shouldn't
watch this game.
Yeah. Just ignore it. College football is much more entertaining.
Yeah.
And the Eagles and the Vikings could be a good one up in Minnesota. I might add the home of the Eagles' first Super Bowl championship.
the battle of two quarterbacks who are underperforming expectations this year.
Well, I think Carson Wentz is not nearly as underperforming as Kirk Cousins, but I
will give you that one. But there was talk at the beginning, at least the shows I listened to, there was talk at the beginning of the year that Carson Wentz could be the possible best QB in fantasy this year. And that is not happening.
I got to tell you, I watched the Eagles-Jets game, and the 33-7 sounds like a laugher. But the Eagles' offense for 2.5 quarters did really nothing at all against the Jets. Mm-hmm. They got 2 defensive scores and a Jordan Howard run-in. I mean, it really wasn't all that impressive. So there's a sense of urgency in Philadelphia to get that offense back on track.
I'm going to say
it was good to see Zach Ertz finally score a touchdown.
I'm going to say some Philly fans don't like and may not want to hear. You need a receiver.
Oh, yeah.
That's your missing piece.
Desean Jackson definitely will be welcomed back into the fold. Hopefully sooner than later, but there is some rumors that maybe his injury is more serious than people think.
I think in 2019, Alshon's number 2. I think number 1 Alshon back when he was in Chicago. I think those days are over. I think he's a number 2 guy at this point in his career.
And you know what? Since Terrell Owens, have the Eagles really had like a marquee number 1 receiver? Not really. I don't know why, but Nelson Aguilar is Nelson Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
But
is this where Stephon Diggs goes?
Yeah, there we go. Maybe they should. The Eagles should try to get Diggs. He doesn't seem very happy with his role in Minnesota. I don't think the Vikings would trade him to the Eagles, though.
It's not a division, but also too that talk about this on Sporgy with Earl and Rich. That doesn't seem to matter anymore. Like back in the day, at least when I was little, like you didn't trade a star to anyone in a division.
It now goes to the highest bidder.
Yeah,
whoever offers the most. Mm-hmm. That would be an interesting acquisition if the Eagles could pull that off, but certainly not going to happen before this game. And I don't know what to expect here. I really don't. And I watched the Eagles and they're Jekyll and Hyde. One week they're world beaters. They lose to the Falcons and then they beat the Packers. That's what we're seeing. Like you said on the previous shows, I don't know who they are yet.
Yes, these are 2 teams who I don't know who they are. I'm with you. Who wins this game? Which good version of whichever team shows up, because that's who they've both been this year.
Yep, and Minnesota's favored by 3 at home,
which I think is Vegas going. I think that's what I've learned about sports betting odds. I think that's the Vegas equivalent to we don't know.
Yeah, it is. It means
we'll pick the home team by
automatically
3.
Gets 3, so it means these are 2 even teams, and we're giving the home team 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the Falcons and the Cardinals in the late game.
Ooh. Speaking of toilet bowl.
Yeah, but Matt Ryan's been putting up some numbers even though he's been losing because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are talking about fantasy.
Air it out.
This is a fantasy football podcast.
I'm sure here in Arizona people will be watching now that the Cardinals got their first win. 1-3-1. 0-2-1 at home. Mm-hmm. And the Falcons are winless on the road. But Atlanta's favored by 2.5, so the Cardinals are a home dog.
Wow, in your own house, not even favored.
What to see there, but from a fantasy standpoint, Matt Ryan, you got to start Julio. Calvin Ridley is just, 1 week he's world beater, the next week he disappears. Don't know what to do with him. Devonte Freeman hasn't really been a big factor.
Calvin Ridley's for bye weeks for other people.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you got the Cardinals. Captain Kirk is injured, and I don't think he's going to be back this week. Christian Kirk. So there's really I don't think any pass catcher is worthy of any action there. David Johnson is hurt, right?
Yeah, he's questionable. There's a good chance he's going to miss. Kyler Murray is worth a start this week simply because the Atlanta defense is so bad.
Banged up in the secondary and on the defensive line. Then we got a good game after that. 49ers and the Rams. Is this the game that the 49ers come down to earth, or is this a game that they make a statement that they're for real? Looking forward to watching this one. The Rams are favored by 3.5 at home, that's not a very big line. The home team always gets 3 to begin with, so this is almost a crapshoot.
49ers, you want to know how your team's going to be this year? This is the game. This is the game that's going to tell you, because the Rams are going to be a playoff team. As much as I think they're broken.
This is the game I'll be wanting to watch at the 4 o'clock time slot. Because the next two, you got Titans and the Broncos. Derrick Henry, your favorite. I know I like him more than you do. We'll see. The Broncos might bottle him up. He's all they got.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got?
They lost their tight end, and they got A.J. Brown, who's touchdown dependent. They got Marcus Mariota, who's just been a big pile of average this whole year, and
his whole career.
Corey Davis is the number 1 receiver there, right? He's supposed to be.
That's a problem.
He's another guy who's fantasy fool's gold, who he's been sold the last 2 or 3 years as a guy who's supposed to have been a sleeper. And he's a sleeper, all right, as in he puts you to sleep. He makes you go to sleep. He's not exciting. He doesn't put up great numbers. He gives you a great game every now and then.
Well, for the Broncos, start Phillip Lindsay. The Titans' defense has been suspect this year. Lindsay, Cortland Sutton, I think probably would be, like you said, Emmanuel Sanders looked good early, but now it's the Sutton show lately.
Maybe, one more game, Cortland Sutton might start getting into, close to at least inside the top 10 wide receivers. He's averaging almost 20 points a game, fantasy-wise. You can't ignore that for long.
Nope. And then we got the Cowboys in the chemical dump site known as the Meadowlands.
Well, the Cowboys at least they'll get a win. They'll bounce
should
back.
get a win there, but you know what? Hey, don't discount that Jets defense. Look up the stats. The Jets are pretty
correct.
They're flying under the radar. That defense, they're 0-4, but primarily because with Darnold out, they have no offense whatsoever. They really gave the Eagles some fits on defense last week.
Jets defense has more touchdowns than the Jets offense this year.
But I think they're catching the Cowboys on a really bad week. I think the Cowboys are in a pretty bad mood after losing to Green Bay. And I think a trip to the MetLife Stadium, I think the Jets are in for I think they're going to get all they can handle from.
They get spanked.
Dak, Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, start with confidence. Jets, well, hope you don't have to start any.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell if you got him. Just
Le'Veon Bell, you got to start.
It's a situation. It's a volume situation, yeah.
Yeah. And we go to the Steelers, Chargers. The Steelers down to their undrafted 3rd, 4th string quarterback. I'm not sure where we're at in the depth chart now, but I think it's going to be a tough day for them playing in LA in the LA Galaxy Stadium.
Yeah, and a full strength Chargers. There's Melvin Gordon. Everybody's there. Well, Hunter Henry is getting close to coming back, which.
Yeah, and the Chargers are in a lousy mood too after blowing it against Denver last week and giving Denver their first win. I don't think they're going to let up 2 weeks in a row against a reeling Steelers team. This is just a really, really tough year for Pittsburgh fans. I think that 1-4 record's going to go to 1-5, and they're not even. There's some teams that are so bad they're not even going to be contending for the number 1 pick. But they're the Steelers, and they'll battle. Anything could happen. But I think they're going to focus on that running game. That's all they can do. We'll see.
That's all they got.
And Monday Night Football.
Oh, another team who's got to prove if they're for real.
Your Detroit Lions against those 4-1 Packers.
Yeah.
This could be a big game in the shaping of who wins the Norris division.
It's for first place. Lions are in second place, correct? That tie.
They're 2-1-1, and the Packers are 4-1.
Yeah, that tie, I believe, is keeping their
winning
winning
percentage. 3-1-1,
percentage.
and the Packers would be 4-2. So it's the battle for first place. The Lions, could you imagine before the season, at the end of week 6, the Lions could be in first place, but they gotta go to Lambeau.
And usually this is where I would talk mad amount of shit about the Lions and go, they haven't played anybody, but they have. They've played To be fair, though, they played the Eagles with a limping Eagles team. You know, your number 3 receiver was your number 1 receiver that day. They played the Chargers without Melvin Gordon, but they competed with the Chiefs. Still lost.
They sure did.
They competed with the Chiefs. So this will be interesting. Usually it's, we're going into Lambeau, just put another W in the Packers. But, I mean, the Packers' weakness this year is their offense. They seem to have got a decent defense this year. And it seems if Aaron Jones doesn't touch the ball, I mean, they're getting it done. They're winning. But, I mean, I'm not as scared of the Packers as a Lions fan as I would have been in years past going into their house.
Well, the thing is also those division games are always tight.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this should be a really good Monday Night Football game. Much better than the 49ers-Browns game, I can tell you that.
I actually had a fantasy week where I missed some Detroit Lions. I was looking at Kenny Galladay in a couple of leagues going, man, you need to be playing right now. You know, same thing with Carry-On. In one league, I had a hole in my RB spot. I was a little weak. What's going on here? Carry-On's on the bench. So, yeah, Lions, you got some fantasy-relevant players this year. Good for you.
Yeah. It's a great year to be a Lions fan.
Is Devonte Adams going to be back this game?
I'm not sure. Jack, do you have any information on that? If you're still with us?
On Devonte Adams?
Yeah, we want to know if he's playing this week. Do you have any intel on that?
Packers declared wide receiver Devonte Adams inactive. Okay, no, that's last week.
That was last week. We're wondering if he might make it back this week. I think he's questionable. So
he's expected to play.
Oh, there you go.
I'm seeing that there is
he
is expected to play.
Oh, there you go. That might make it a little tougher for those Lions, but hey, I'm looking forward to the game, and I know you are too.
Yeah, Monday night. Don't get that very. I believe the last Monday night game didn't go so hot. I believe the Jets owned us in our own house beginning of last season. But we don't talk about that anymore.
New season.
So, all right. Well, a historical fantasy week. And we're only halfway there, everybody. Oh, we're coming into week 6. Week 7's a dividing line, really. After week 7, it's, I believe, halfway through the day games, through the 1 o'clock slate on week 7, is the fantasy season is officially half over. So, everyone's season, including the pros, your season's kind of taking shape now, right? Whether JR and I each got a couple teams. We're 1-4, so I believe the old cliche there is it's getting late pretty early in those leagues. So, there's still hope.
Looking forward to our weekly beer bet. How did we do last week? I don't even remember what we bet.
Stand by. We bet.
You bet on the Niners game.
Oh, that's right. Who had the Niners?
You did, because you said you let him pick, and you said that you would take whoever.
I took the Browns.
He did take the Browns, yep.
Oh, all right. Redemption.
So you win that one. But our beer bet this week, it writes itself. We're playing each other.
Week, Carry On My Wayward Son is playing me, the Imperial Stoutman. So you have Kyler Murray. I have Russell Wilson. You have Zeke Elliott, Carry On Johnson. I got James Conner and Derrick Henry. I got Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin. Thielen the Cup for you. You got Evan Ingram. You're going to have to replace him. I got Zach Ertz, Mark Ingram, Texans defense, and Harrison Butker.
Yeah, Evan Ingram's
you
probably going to be.
You got Julio down by the schoolyard, that 49ers D going against the Rams, and Joey Sly, great kicker pickup. So, yeah, it should be a good one. And actually, you're favored by 9.5 points with this lineup, even with Evan Ingram in it.
Oh, really?
So it says.
Oh, wow.
We'll see.
Well, Evan Ingram's going to turn into Delaney Walker. That's my backup. That's my other tight end. He's still a top 10 tight end. He is number 10. So hopefully he can have a good game, because the tight end position this year is horrible. It is so awful. But isn't it every year?
Yep.
So this is where we will thank you for listening. Reminder, we are on Twitter at the Fantasy Hack. Also, check out the Big Show at Sport You Podcast. Also on Twitter. We are active most Sunday mornings on Twitter if you're looking for advice or you just want to mess around, do whatever, talk about football. We're there. We're up. Early morning football this week. Looking forward to that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
6 in the morning out here. Jeez.
Yeah. In the Fantasy Hacks League, ouch. This is where 1-4. No Saquon, and then drafting Antonio Brown. I've been limping in that league. It's been a struggle, but 6 out of the 10 teams in that league are under 500, so that is my silver lining. There's still a shot in that league, but hurting in that league. College team, all the buys are over, thank God. But listen to us on Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, ChristopherMedia.net, and pretty much anywhere that catches an RSS feed, you can get us. Check us out on Wednesday, sometimes even Tuesday nights, because that's how we go. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Adios, amigos.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.